Hey guys, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Jenna Phillips, and this is our daily show giving you all the latest news from the world of movies with insight into what it all means. And joining me as always is AMC Editor-in-Chief, Mr. John Campia.
Good morning, Jenna.
Good morning.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Look, I gotta admit it, I like almost everything better about my home up in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, but I gotta say, went out and did some food trucking last night, and the food truck scene in LA is awesome.
It is.
Had a very good time doing that last night.
All right, and also joining me is the senior editor over at Rotten Tomatoes and contributing film critic to CNN, Miss Gray Drake. Hey, Gray.
Hey everybody, I'm just here landing airplanes in the RT offices.
You look good though.
Thank you.
Let's get started. Costume designer Michael Kaplan has confirmed that he will be the costume designer for the upcoming Star Wars Episode 7. Kaplan recently stated in an interview, "I am very excited to be working on Star Wars. I'm so looking forward to collaborating once again with JJ." Kaplan has previously worked with Abrams on both Star Trek films and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Some of his other credits include films like Fight Club and Blade Runner. John, what is the significance of JJ bringing someone like Kaplan on board for Star Wars?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, you know, JJ is one of these directors kind of in the Steven Spielberg vein that likes to work with people that he already works with. He likes to work with people that he knows can do a good job. Now, look, we already know he kicked out his composer for John Williams, but that's no shame on his composer because it's John Williams. That's actually like a badge of honor. But he likes to bring his people along. But what I find really interesting about this, and what could be significant, is does this mean anything about JJ maybe bringing some actors over that he's worked with before? I have heard people talking about and whispering about possibly a Zoe Saldana coming over to the Star Wars. She's kind of like the new Ripley. I mean, she's the new Sigourney Weaver when it comes to babe sci-fi action film stars. So, I mean, I could see her fitting into something like that. I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I just said I'm hearing rumors about it. But it makes it interesting when you hear that he's bringing people over, even like his costume designer. Gray, what do you think? Do you think this is an interesting move by him? Do you think it means anything more than just a costume designer? How do you see it?
I don't think it means anything else necessarily, but I am excited because basically any involvement that this gentleman had with Blade Runner is going to make Star Wars fantastic, especially if he puts someone in their boxer briefs, just like Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner. So I think it's good news. I think that it means that he's assembling a great team, and I am watching him very, very closely to make sure Star Wars is not disappointing like I found Star Trek Into Darkness.
Oh
what?
my God,
I loved it.
That's another argument you and I can have another time. Good grief.
Okay. It is being reported that Universal Studios is moving ahead with rebooting the 1994 Jean-Claude Van Damme film Timecop, based on the graphic novel of the same name. The original film is a future tale when the ability to travel through time is perfected. A new type of law enforcement agency is formed called the Time Enforcement Commission, or TEC. Max Walker is one of the TEC's top agents and is sent on a mission to stop a former agent from disrupting the past and changing their world forever. Gray, do you think Timecop is a film worth remaking?
I think that it's worth remaking because Timecop is spectacular, and seeing Jean-Claude Van Damme do the splits on the kitchen counter is exactly what made me a woman. And I'm just starting to stop struggling against all these remakes that nobody's coming up with original ideas anymore, because Timecop is super, and the fact that they're remaking it I think is fine. Timecop still holds up, but you know they can do some really interesting new stuff with it, so I say go.
Yeah, I've always had these 4 rules for remakes. Like, make sure it's something that the vast majority of the current movie-going audience hasn't seen. That works here. Make sure it's something that modern technology could help with. Right. That's the case here. Make sure it's a story that still stands up in a new modern context. That works out here. So, I mean, really, this is a story that kind of is tailor-made to be rebooted in many ways. Nobody's seen the original one anymore except a very select few of us. And I think it is definitely a story worth remaking, and it definitely could, you know, be helped along by modern effects and stuff like that, especially when we're talking about time travel. Unfortunately, there will be no Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I know, I'm so sad about that.
But otherwise, you know, find a good action star, maybe put a Jason Statham in there or something like that, and maybe we'll be good to go.
Okay.
No, we need to get Jason Statham in a romantic comedy and rescue him from the diminishing returns of all of his action movies. I love him to pieces, but honest to God, Jason, get a new agent and some new properties to do.
Actually, you know, my favorite, it's funny you mentioned, my favorite Jason Statham performance, role, movie, everything isn't an action one. It's actually his least action film, and that's Snatch. I mean, he was so good in that. I mean, I love that movie so much, and it wasn't, although I'm a guy, I do dig seeing him in the action films too.
This next one is actually a mailbag question, but we thought it was important enough to be a main topic. So, Stephen O writes, "Hey all, your show is fantastic, and I haven't missed an episode since I got hooked a month ago. I've been hearing rumors that Sony is having financial trouble and are considering selling some of their movie properties, SpiderMan included, so that they can focus more on their electronics. Now, I know common sense says selling the movie rights to SpiderMan to another company is a huge financial mistake given how much he's worth, but I'm a hopeless comic book guy who dreams of Spidey swinging into Avengers. Given your expertise in this area, do you think this rumor has any possibility of coming true?"
This story really hit the wire in the last 24 hours and has been going around. So basically, here's the gist of it. One of the shareholders in Sony has made a proposal to the board of Sony of selling off about 15 to 20% of their entertainment properties, which would include Spider-Man, and selling it off. Now, there's no word that Sony's going to do this. Sony's just taken the recommendation from one of their investors and they're discussing it. That's as far as it's gone. So let's not get ahead of ourselves and say, hey, Sony may be selling Spider-Man. This is still really, really early in the discussions. I have always said you're never going to see Spider-Man in an Avengers movie because Sony is never going to partner with somebody else. And you're never going to see Sony lending out the character. But I did say on this show a while ago that, hey, look, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. Everybody's got a price. And Spider-Man, like anything else, is up for sale if somebody wants to pay what it's worth. I suggested at the time that I think you're probably talking the $2 billion range because of the amount of money and profit that Spider-Man generates for Sony. You're probably looking in the range of about $2 billion. Does somebody want to spend $2 billion on the movie rights to Spider-Man? Maybe. But notice, here's the other thing. A lot of the news sites right now are running with a story that Marvel may be buying Spider-Man back. That is way wrong. First of all, Sony hasn't even decided to sell him yet. And if they have, nobody has mentioned Marvel. We don't even know that Marvel will be one of the main players. I mean, who knows? Fox may come along and say, hey, we'll give you $2.2 billion for Spider-Man. And suddenly Spider-Man's swinging into the X-Men. I mean, that's one of the ways this could play out. But it does open a possibility that, in 2015, we may see, there is the slightest hope that we could see a Spider-Man in a Marvel universe, because if Sony decides to sell, and if they set it at a price that Marvel is willing to pay, this is something that very well could happen. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is still very early in the game. Gray, let's say Sony decides that they do want to sell Spider-Man. Is this something that Marvel should seriously looking at breaking open the bank for to get him?
Well, I think that Disney is going to fight tooth and nail to get it over somebody like Fox, for sure, especially because they just shelled out even more than that for all of Star Wars. I have no expertise in the area of buying and selling properties. The only expertise that I have in this area is logic. And I think it makes perfect sense that, you try to reunite Spider-Man with the Avengers, because a movie like, it wouldn't be Avengers 2, obviously, too soon, but like 3, 4, whatever, because there are going to be more of these. I think that would turn their revenue into probably double if they made that happen. So it seems like financially that would make sense.
All right, folks, well, we've come to that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Jenna's got a bunch of other items in the world of movie news that she's going to list through. And then Gray and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Jenna, what do we got?
2 new posters for the upcoming Smurfs 2 have just hit the web. The sequel hits AMC theaters everywhere on July 21st and follows the evil wizard Gargamel, who creates a couple of mischievous Smurf-like creatures called the Naughties.
Oh.
Interesting choice. That he hopes will let him harness the all-powerful magical Smurf essence. But he discovers that only a real Smurf can give him what he wants, and only a secret spell that Smurfette knows can turn the Naughties into real Smurfs. Gray, buy or sell Smurfs 2 and their new posters?
I don't buy it, sell it. I could care less. Yeah. I am not the target demographic for this film. I found the first one incredibly painful to watch, and this franchise just makes me grateful as a critic that has to see all these films that my state has very lenient medical marijuana laws. So I say, why not buy it? I don't care.
I'm going to buy it, actually. I'm one of the guys who I went in, like everybody else, extremely skeptical of the first Smurfs movie because it looked terrible. And I actually found it rather charming. And I really liked Gargamel in it. So for me, there's some inherent value. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Gray Drake is the third member of the Naughties. I could be wrong, but I believe it. So for me, it's a buy.
Fast and Furious 6 opens in AMC theaters everywhere tonight. And as most of you know, Fast 7 is already on the way and starts shooting soon. In a recent interview, series star Vin Diesel revealed that although all the recent films have been taking place in international locations, Fast 7 will be centered in Los Angeles. I'm on board with that. John, buy or sell bringing Fast and Furious back to LA?
Sell!
What?
Now, don't get me wrong. I really liked Fast 5. I'm really looking forward to seeing Fast 6. I'm going to see it tonight, as a matter of fact, in AMC Burbank here. And I'm looking forward to Fast 7. But I kind of love the idea that they've been going to all these international locations and shooting here and shooting there. And the scenery and the cultures they've been in have almost become kind of like characters in it as well. So while I'm still looking forward to Fast 7 very much, I do wish they would keep it with an international flavor. So I got to sell that they're doing it in LA. What about you, Gray?
You're wrong. Buy it, because you need to have more faith in the Fast and the Furious franchise that has survived this long, 6 movies, all of them good, and basically whatever they decide to do, I'm on board. I think they are great. They know exactly what they're doing at this point. So if they say that thing is going to be back in LA, I say yes, Vin Diesel, yes, Rock, yes, girl on girl fighting action. I want it wherever it happens.
Okay, director Todd Haynes has signed on for the upcoming film Carol, based on the novel titled The Prince of Salt. The film already has the 2 leads cast, Cate Blanchett and Alice in Wonderland's Mia Wasikowska. The Prince of Salt is a 1952 novel about an unlikely lesbian relationship in 1950s New York, a 20-year-old girl working at a department store, and a rich wife trapped in a bad marriage trying to break free. Gray, buy or sell Carol?
Okay, not to be too predictable based on my haircut, but I love it when lady stars les out. And Cate Blanchett and Mia Wasikowska are such great actors, and I think that this story, it sounds really like there's a lot to it. It's very complex. Plus, anytime Cate Blanchett gets near any kind of lesbian storyline, like in oh my God, the title is escaping me. The one that was kind of a thrillery one. I keep wanting to say Veronica Guerin, but it's not. It's that other one. Anytime she gets near a storyline like this, it becomes instantly 25% awesomer.
I got to buy this if for no other reason. Look, we know that there are definitely issues going on in our world today of discrimination and stuff. This book was written in the 1950s, and I haven't read it myself. But to have a story like this written in the perspective of that time, and apparently I was reading up on the novel. Apparently, like, it was one of the very first, not only lesbian stories, but lesbian stories with a happy ending. Because in the noir at the time, they would always have these tragic endings. I'm really curious to see that type of perspective from the 1950s done in a film like today. And Gray's absolutely right. The cast for this is perfect. I'm looking forward to it for those reasons and many more. For me, it's a buy.
The first red band and green band trailers for the upcoming comedy We're the Millers have been released online. The film stars Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston, Emma Roberts, Nick Offerman, Kathryn Hahn, Will Poulter, and Ed Helms, and is set to be released in AMC theaters everywhere on August 9th. And Jennifer Aniston is playing a stripper, so I think that's going to be totally popular. John, buy or sell We're the Millers?
Buy!
Yes.
I have been so excited for this trailer to come out. Look, I was at CinemaCon in Vegas this year, and aside from being the first ones that they showed the new Man of Steel trailer to, the most exciting thing to me that I saw was the footage they showed us for We're the Millers. I think this looks ridiculously funny. I laughed my head off the entire way through the footage they showed us at CinemaCon. I think the red band trailer for this looks really funny. I love Jason Sudeikis. This guy is not used as a leading man in comedies enough. He did this treasure of a little comedy 2 years ago called A Good Old Fashioned Orgy that nobody saw, but I thought was deliciously funny. I thought it was really charming. This thing looks great. I love it. So yeah, for me, it's a buy. What about you, Gray?
Right, in sync. Bye. Because the red band trailer is fantastic. I guffawed out loud. And Jennifer Aniston is way better when she's being mean and naughty. And this, so it's like her as a stripper, her getting a bikini wax in that breakup movie, like all of these things. That's when she's the best. I want more Jennifer Aniston from Horrible Bosses and The Good Girl, and less of her in like a romantic comedy where she's a pleasant lady who does yoga. It's real life. It doesn't work. This movie's going to be great.
All right. Well, that will do it for Gray Drake today. Gray, where can people find you on Twitter?
I am at Gray Drake, GraeDrake.
All right, thanks a lot, Gray. Well, it's that time of the show for Mailbag. Listen, folks, if you've got a topic or a question that you would like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Just send your questions in. We pick a few out every day to use on the show. Jenna's got a bunch of them picked out. So, Jenna, what do we got?
Tommy K writes, "Hi, guys. Love the show and watch it daily. My question is, Xbox just recently did a press event unveiling a new system, which included a Halo live-action TV series. What do you think about a live-action series, and do you think it could help build momentum for a movie down the line?"
This would be unprecedented. I mean, I don't ever think, hey, how do we build momentum for a movie? Let's go and take it to TV first. I don't really think that's ever been a winning formula. I don't think it's ever really been utilized. And let's call this what it is. I remember I said this when I first saw the news. Most movies get made because we think, hey, we got a great story we can make. Let's make this, and we think it can make money and all this kind of stuff. This Halo announcement, Halo fans, I hate to break this to you. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. This is not about, this is a story that needs to get told. This is all marketing. This is marketing from start to finish. They're only making this show as a marketing tool. That's what they're doing it for. They especially wanted something to really push, because really, a lot of us were going to be talking about the Xbox One anyway, but a lot more of us are talking about the Xbox One and the press release because they attached to it this thing about a Halo TV series they're doing. Look, am I going to check it out? Of course I am. Absolutely, I'll check it out. And I'm going to hope that it's good. But I'm loaded with pessimism right now because I think it's just being done for the sake of marketing the Xbox, marketing the Halo game franchise, and it's not being done to make an excellent TV series. And I think they just cut Steven Spielberg a big, huge, massive, ridiculous check just to attach his name to it. I don't think this will help movie prospects at all. I don't think it'll help, and I don't think it bodes well for the future. As a matter of fact, I think this may hinder the possibility of us finally getting a Halo movie. So, I don't look at this very positively.
Okay. Leslie Clark writes, "My question concerns the upcoming Justice League film. Could we have an opening scene on OA where Ryan Reynolds' Hal Jordan trades rings or places with Jon Stewart, possibly played by Idris Elba?"
I get a lot of questions from people asking me about, well, hey, how about Jon Stewart as Green Lantern? How about Jon Stewart as Green Lantern? Maybe make him Idris Elba, maybe use somebody else as Jon Stewart as Green Lantern. I'm going to say this as clearly as I can. Jon Stewart is not Green Lantern. There is one Green Lantern, and that is Hal Jordan. Bruce Wayne is Batman. I'm sorry, Batman Beyond fans. Nobody wants to see a Batman film. The 99% of the rest of us who are the general movie-going audience don't want to see a Batman Beyond movie. We want to see a Bruce Wayne as Batman. Sorry, folks who were a big fan of the 4 Supermen after the death of Superman. Nobody wants to see, the rest of the general movie-going audience does not want to see the android Superman or the cloned Superboy Superman or the Steel Superman. We want Clark Kent as Superman. And I'm sorry, I don't want a Jon Stewart Green Lantern. I know that's what's in the cartoons right now is the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, but that's not Green Lantern. Hal Jordan is Green Lantern. And I have no desire to, and once again, you know me, I'm a sci-fi nut. You put out a Jon Stewart Green Lantern, of course I'm going to be there to see it. Absolutely. But I don't want that. If you're going to ask me what I want Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is Green Lantern, not Jon Stewart. This imposter that they've got on the cartoon show right now. Get him out of here. I want Hal Jordan.
Jeff Howell writes, "You seem to have more insider information than anyone else, and it all seems credible. I was curious, though. You said in a previous episode that you're not a fan of someone being recommended to Godfather a franchise, like Whedon with the Avengers. You mentioned this when someone recommended that Nolan Godfather the DC Universe. My question is that, don't you think it's wise to have one brilliant mind helming a project of this magnitude? Doesn't it promote continuity and make it more likely that movies outside of one or the other coincide with the universe as a whole? I was a fan of the Nolan Godfather suggestion, and if not Nolan, then who? And if no one, why not?"
Yeah, this whole Joss Whedon You know, when they said that Joss was going to actually be godfathering the Marvel Universe, I think a lot of people have the wrong idea about what that means. A lot of people think that there's some big executive office at Marvel where Joss now sits in a huge golden throne that looks like something, off of Asgard. And he is personally directing and giving all the guidance to how all the Marvel movies should go. And that's the perception of what godfathering means. In reality, Whedon has almost nothing to do with the other Marvel films other than Avengers. He just said himself, he was talking about Iron Man 3, he said, look, that I had nothing to do with it. That was all, them. That was all them. That was not me. I gave a couple suggestions here and there, but that's it. That is completely their movie. And that's the same approach that they've taken with the upcoming Thor. That's the same approach they're taking with the Captain America. Joss Whedon, while godfathering, is actually completely hands-off. He's really not doing anything. So really, this term godfathering is just something we've kind of made up. He's modestly consulting. He is modestly consulting. And if we understand what this role really is, that it's really a modest consultant, then I've got no problem with a guy like Christopher Nolan hanging around Warner Brothers and, giving his 2 cents here and there. As long as we understand that there's not some omniscient godfather sitting on this golden throne who's actually in charge. And that's what a lot of people are thinking about when they talk about get Christopher Nolan to godfather the DC universe for Warner Brothers. They're actually thinking about him sitting on a big throne being in charge of everything. And that is a terrible idea. That's an absolutely terrible idea for several reasons. Not because it's Christopher Nolan, because if you're going to do it with anybody, why not somebody like a Christopher Nolan or a Steven Spielberg or a Joss Whedon? But the position itself is ridiculous because here's the thing. Who are you going to get to direct a Green Lantern movie? Let's say, Chris, they create this high and powerful, almighty Oz position for Christopher Nolan. And now you're making Green Lantern that he's not going to direct. Who are you going to get to direct it? Seriously, what decent director worth anything is going to agree to come into a movie where he's not the one in charge on that set? Now, like I've always said, directors should work with the studios. That's got to be collaboration back and forth. But ultimately, the person in the captain's chair is that director. Do you think a Darren Aronofsky is going to come in, somebody of the caliber of a Darren Aronofsky will come in and agree to direct like a Green Lantern? It's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not actually in charge? You mean that guy is actually in charge, is going to tell me what to do? Bye. See you later. Even in an environment like this, like I run AMC Movie News. You think I'm going to stay in this job if somebody from Kansas, that's where AMC's head offices are, is going to call me every day and tell me what to do?
Nope, he's not.
Bye-bye. I ain't sticking around. And that's why AMC is so great, because they don't do that. And that's why Warner Brothers is great, because they're not going to do that. So I'm all for this idea of maybe having somebody on, to consult a little bit here and there and give some ideas. But no, don't create a godfather position, because what you're going to do is all the best talent is going to stay away from you. They're not going to be involved and they're not going to get on board with you. So just stay away from that. And that's why I don't like it. But like I said, if you're going to do it, which is stupid, but if you're going to do it, then sure, why not somebody like Christopher Nolan? But it's just a bad idea to start with.
Jacob Van Houten writes, "Hey guys, I've been watching the show for a long time and I wait at my computer watching your channel until you upload Movie Talk." That's sweet. "And the show is great at giving the movie news and discussions I would want out of a TV show. Do you think that from the success from these rebooted Star Trek films that we could see a reboot for Next Generation, because that also has a lot of interesting characters that have a lot of canon behind it as well?"
I loved Star Trek The Next Generation TV series. And I'll still say it on record. The series finale episode, Dennis and I were actually talking about this the other day. The series finale for Star Trek The Next Generation is the best series finale ever on television. It was the perfect wrap up to that show. They did everything absolutely right. I love the way they handled that. And all the movies sucked. Maybe not sucked, but all the movies are bad. And as a matter of fact, there was all this diminishing returns. None of the Star Trek Next Generation movies made $100 million domestically. Not one of them. As a matter of fact, the last one they did, which I believe was Nemesis, actually made like $43 million. So you've got this trajectory of this going way down. They stopped making those movies because the movies were losing money and they didn't have fans and whatever. And you know what? As a huge fan of Star Trek The Next Generation, I am more than happy that it's been put to bed. Let's not bring Patrick Stewart back or Brent Spinner or any of the other guys or Frakes or let's not bring them back and make another one of them. Let's put it to bed. It was done. It was great. They stopped it because it lost all its popularity. Let's not try to rejuvenate it at this point. If it had just ended because they just wanted to end, but they ended it on a high and the movies were making lots of money, I'd say, yeah, let's give this a shot. But let's not do this. I think let's keep it where it is. Let's enjoy the memories that we have of it and leave it alone. Well, listen, folks, that'll do it for us. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. And listen, while I've got you, before you do anything else, stop what you're doing. Do us a favor. Click that thumbs up button on the video, or even more importantly, click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news and, of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And going out and see a movie tonight like Fast 6 and AMC Theaters everywhere. Going over to www.amctheaters.com for all your theater and showtime and, of course, your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look down in the description of this video and you'll find links to our iTunes and our Stitcher radio. And once again, click that subscribe button. I want to thank, as always, our lovely host, Ms. Jenna Phillips.
Thanks for having me.
I want to thank once again Gray Drake, senior editor over Rotten Tomatoes and film critic for CNN. And most of all, thank you to you guys. Listen, the most important part of the show is clearly not what we have to say. The most important part of the show is what you have to say. Make sure you jump on down to the comments section of this video and leave your thoughts, agree or disagree, on any or all the comments and the topics that we discussed here today. I guarantee you, I read absolutely every single one of them in there. So until next time, my name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until then, bye-bye.